Namaskar. This is my 41st lecture, and again we have to delay the whole psychoanalytic version of conversion because I got a question and I think I need to answer this question. The difference between the Mujahaddin and avatar, the concept of avatar in the dharmic religions. In order to understand this, you have to watch there are a couple of videos on jihad from an Indic perspective, what jihad means from an Indic perspective. You have to understand that. And then we can go forward with it. But just to summarize, the question was, what is the difference between a Mujahaddin and an avatar? A Mujahaddin, and we said that before, is a reformer. Reformer of what? Of the Islamic community falling out of or forgetting their ultimate goal. What is the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is the establishment of Darul Islam from the Darul Harb. So that's the ultimate goal of the Mujahaddin. And as a result, he has to fight the current situation in Islamic nations. So he is a reformer. So that's very important for us to understand. The Mujahaddin is a reformer, like Don Fodio of Nigeria, who brought in the Jihad bin al-Naf, which is the jihad of the sword, because they were not, people were kind of in an ambiguous identity. They were not fully consolidated as Muslims. And what does it herald? The Mujahaddin heralds the coming of the Mahdi, which is the end of history, because he is the ultimate. He will set up the entire utopian land of Darul Islam. That's not the concept of the avatar. The first two very important differences. And when I'm saying differences, it means that I'm also comparing some of the other things, like all the dharmic religions, with Islam. First of all, the avatar comes down when there is a disbalance. Dharma is balance, dhri, that which sustains. When there is a disbalance in nature, in society, because the two are kind of intermeshed in these Indic religions, he comes, and she comes, by the way. I'm going to talk about the women avatars also, the 10 Mahavidyas, which correspond to the Vishnu's avatar later on, and how to reinterpret them in the feminist way. So he comes to settle the disbalance that happened in nature. That's the first difference. The second difference is Islam, like other Abrahamic religion, is linear. There is an end of history. And this is very similar to both the Marxist concept of the ultimate, that history moves in a linear way, and the ultimate utopia of a communist society, which actually is very Hegelian, because again, Hegel has this utopia. It ends in a utopia. It's linear. But the dharmic religions are not linear. They're cyclic. The avatar comes back again and again. Ultimately, what is the difference? In the dharmic religions, one has to sort their redemption individually. Let us try to understand this through the Buddhist wheel of life. See, this is the wheel of life. This is the wheel of life. And this we have to understand. Why? Because to understand the cyclic nature. So, people are ignorant. The entire thing goes back to individual ignorance. People are ignorant. They take what is temporal as eternal. And because of this ignorance, they crave things. And then they crave things and they desire things, they get fulfilled. But not all our desires are fulfilled. There are desires that are unfulfilled. For example, I have a desire to visit Tolstoy's house in Russia, And I had to cancel my ticket first for the COVID and then for the current Ukrainian conflict. And that desire is unfulfilled. Now, according to this cycle, some desires are fulfilled and some are unfulfilled. And those desires remain because ultimately the root is ignorance, avidya. This is the Buddhist way, the cycle. Then that craving leads to embodiment, because without our embodiment, without the five senses, we cannot enjoy the desires. We only desire those which are not there. If I desire water and my thirst is quenched, I don't desire water anymore. I hope you all can see this. This is the best I could do because, I know this is a little vague. And they acquire a body. Birth consciousness is there, the desire to be born, and they acquire a body. And then the body is, when they acquire the body, they fulfill the desire. They are born. And then the desires are fulfilled, but those go away and new desires are formed. But on the other hand, what happens is the body decays, because what is born will be decayed. What has origin will be decayed. And so again, they're ignorant that they'll hold on to something permanent and they're again born. So rebirth consciousness leads to rebirth. And the desires are fulfilled, but some remain unfulfilled because our bodies will go away, they'll decay, and again the whole cycle starts. So in this concept, this is a very non-linear circular concept. We come back over and over again. So what is the redemption in these philosophies? Dharmic, it's very individualistic. Is there a social consciousness? We'll come to that later. But the core is different. First of all, Islam is very linear. And there's the Mujahaddin who comes to reform when the Islamic nations are kind of swayed to paths which are not leading them to that ultimate utopia. I find this very similar to both the Hegelian and the Marxist concept of the utopia at the end. And the coming of the Mujahaddin leads to that heralds the Mahdi, which is the end. It's again not the last Kalki avatar because it again cycles back. So what's your redemption? Again, it's very individualistic. Remember the four Purusharthas, the end in dharmic religion, adharma, artha, kama, moksha. But ultimately it's the individual. He has to do his own redemption. He has to find his own truth. And that's why I always think that dharmic religions are close to the existentialist concept of life, whether it's Tolstoy, Kierkegaard, and so forth, and we'll come back to that later. But for now, the question that was given to me by some of the audience is the Mujahaddin an avatar? No. There are two differences. First, he has come to reform, because reform what? Lead them to the path of that ultimate utopia, the Darul Islam. That's one thing. The avatar is not coming to lead them to any path. It's because there is a disbalance, adharma. So he comes to redo it. And I'm combining all the dharmic religions. I'm not making a distinction here, and one could. And the second thing is time is cyclic. Time is not linear as in Islam or the other monotheisms, which is why Western philosophy, before the existentialist and the absurd philosophies, they were all very linear and they lead to a utopia. And again, the cycle that I showed, the birth, rebirth, we are born because some of our desires, like my desire to see Tolstoy's house was not fulfilled. So according to this, that desire will bring me back. And I'll acquire a body and five senses, and then the body is going to go because whatever is born will be decayed. And then again, the whole cycle will start. So the ultimate moksha is very individualistic here. It's not a social something redemption. Is there a social component in the dharmic religions? Yes, we'll come to that later. But this was a short video just answering the question that I was asked, what is the difference between an avatar and a Mujahaddin? That's all. For this, that is all. Namaskar. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment the videos, and donate if you can so that we can go on doing more of this. And I'll introduce psychoanalysis and so forth later on.